Hello, hello, hello. Doo-doo-doo. I'm going to give it a moment here. Doo-doo-doo. Test my sound. I'm going to give it a moment here. You can hear me in the echo. That's how I test my sound. If you're here, go ahead and drop a little comment in the chat, or you can use the little heart, smiley, party, wow, and 100 emojis that are over to the right. Hi, Kimberly. Welcome, welcome. I have a little bit of a thing going on, so sometimes I have to clear my throat. Metaphysical dynamics. Hey, hey. My pleasure. Yeah, drop a hello. This is a day of collective messages and just a chill hangout. I was feeling the red today, not because it's a Hallmark holiday, just because I love the color. It's one of my go-to colors. Grounding. Yes, jungle. I know it's you. Too many names. Too many names. Mr. Diamond, good morning. Thanks for popping on. Thanks everybody for popping on. Hope you're all keeping well. Let me know if how you're feeling. How are the energies affecting you? Maybe a word or two. Are you feeling emotional, fantastic, overwhelmed, happy, joyful, tired? Whatever it is. I'm going to take a moment to go ahead and welcome my new subscribers as well. So anyone who is new to the channel, big, huge welcome to you. Make yourself at home and feel free to go through the different playlists and the different videos and check out the ones that resonate with you. I'm live here every Friday on Frequency Friday, 10 a.m., usually till about noon, give or take. There's no hard, fast rule to that. And it's just a chill collective hangout where I pull some collective messages and then I do breakout readings. So we have some exciting breakout readings today as well. For those of you who cannot stay the whole time, I know people are working, got busy lives, we got things going on. I will have the replay up after the live, and it will have timestamps both in the description and the comments section, so you can easily get back to where you left off and listen to the parts that you want to listen to and that you're resonating with. So keep that in mind. I'm also here every other Sunday night from 7 to 8 p.m. Central Time, actually doing little mini readings for everyone. So that's a fun time. It's a power-packed hour. People come on, they ask questions or they ask for the highest and best message, and I do a little mini reading. The next one will be on February 23rd. February 23rd. So not this Sunday, but a week from Sunday. So I hope everybody can tune into those. Those replays are also up for anyone who wants to tune in there. So yes, we had the full moon energy. That's right. Kimberly's popping that in the message on the 12th. So how did that feel for everyone? Lots of planetary alignments. I didn't get super deep into the astrology of today, but definitely felt that full moon, that Leo full moon and everything. And so, but I definitely did. My understanding is there's some Mercury energies, I think, transitioning today, going a little bit more from the logical energies into the emotional energies. And so as I start off here in a moment with the collective reading, we'll get into that. We'll get into that. For everyone who's joined, you can drop comments in the chat and you can do that anytime. So I'm not doing personal readings today, but if you would like to contribute to the topic or you would like to share what's going on for you, go ahead and drop a comment. That helps. Make sure that you put a like, a thumbs up on the video as well. That will help. And then, of course, over to the very right, and I'm going to, if you hit the little hearts, or you can hit the little 100s, or you can hit the little party signs there, those little flying emoji things, you could do that as well. You should have that over to the right of the comments section. So this is just kind of the housekeeping. Also, I have new 10-day readings going out. I think I have just earth signs left that are going to be posted, so watch for those. All the February monthlies are out. And then next week, I'm doing something a little different. I've recorded a pick-a-pile reading, so that should be really exciting. Keep an eye on that next week sometime. I'm kind of trying some different things, so bear with me, but I'll keep getting the signs covered as I can. I just want everybody to know we're going to be doing some different things too. It's good to change things up sometimes, right? So, okay, let me get a timestamp here. Let's get into the collective messages. So, we're going to pull some cards for this, of course, but the very first thing that came up as I was tuning into the collective energies, and even as I was preparing this morning, I was listening to a couple of segments that were from Indigenous elders across the United States. And the value of storytelling came up. And I don't know about you, but if you've ever come across a person, and this is something that, I kind of aspire to be, a person who is just really engaging, they're an engaging storyteller, because storytelling used to be how we learned. It was the spoken word from one person to another. And so I definitely got the nudge and encouragement to share with the collective the value of telling your story. So maybe for you, it's telling your story to some friends or some coworkers. And it doesn't have to be your whole story. It could be a story or a part of your story, right? Or maybe for some of you, it's important to document your stories for your children, right? So that could be something. And that really, with the mercurial energies going on today, transitioning from more of the logic and into the emotion, it could be a nice time to really just relax into that, sink into that, and have a little bit of that energy come through for you. So yeah, recording yourself, maybe even if it's just storytelling for yourself, you can do that as well. Record a video of yourself talking to yourself. Have you ever done that? I do it all the time. I do it all the time. Sometimes I full on set like a Zoom meeting with myself, and I just sit down and talk to myself about my goals, my aspirations. But you can also just do it on your phone and just tell yourself, hey, remember when the time I did this, that, or the other. For others of you, it's important to document for loved ones or children or for the world. You may have a message for the world somehow. So, keeping in mind the value of storytelling, you also might want to just get on YouTube here and search around for, some of the indigenous storytellers. They have absolutely incredible messages that are still practical today, very timeless messages. And then there are people who are just amazing orators and storytellers, and they will review and retell collections of stories from across the world. So maybe that might be something if you have a little time today, or you just want something to listen to while you're driving or something, that might be a good thing for you to tune into, because those energies are definitely potent and uplifted today. So, all right, let's get into actually pulling some messages for the collective. I am focused on relationships today because it's the big V Day, right? The big Valentine's Day. I know it's a Hallmark holiday. It's not really something that I attribute to like being connected to, like, oh, I have to do something. My partner and I try to make every day count the best it can and have those experiences together and connect together, and not just wait for one day to show appreciation and show connection. But since it's in the air, and it's floating around, we're going to go there. So it's also, right, we just passed Imbolc, right, the midpoint between winter and spring. And there's a lot of desire for warmth. Let's put it that way. So relationships can provide that. It's a fun holiday for the kids. That's right, Karen. Damn it. We have to like enjoy life a little bit and not be so serious all the time. And then the kids know that naturally and it makes it fun for them. And then they get candy and they love that or whatever, you know. They get to design things and do arts and crafts. And yeah, we have to have a little fun. We can't be so serious all the time. And, you know, we can't be, I love the word curmudgeon. You guys heard that word before? My friend Roz taught me that word. When somebody's like just kind of bitter and kind of down about everything and so serious and just kind of crabby. Curmudgeons. Don't be a curmudgeon. I love that word. Okay. Oh my goodness. This came up in a reading I recently did for Pick a Pile, but I am going to show you what we got today. 21, freedom comes up, the frequency of freedom. The energy of freedom supports our sense of limitless possibility and potential, boundless expression, and bold exploration. And I think this connects right back to what I was saying about storytelling and the richness of stories. This is a way that we can connect with our own freedom through the stories of our ancestors or the stories of the world. And in those times where things did not feel free, or in the times now when things do not feel free, where can we get back to the root? Where can we get back to our connection with the earth, with the mother energies, with the stories that she tells, with the stories that nature tells? Nature tells beautiful stories, and some people paint the stories, some people utilize natural materials. Karen, I know you do that, to tell a story. And it depicts something, it depicts an energy. There's art form to this. And that's the angle that this freedom card is giving me. It's a freedom in the form of expression. So being able to express ourselves freely and not just with words and arguing for argument's sake, right? But telling valuable stories, telling the lessons that we've learned, telling some of the good stuff. We don't hear enough of the good stuff. Sharing and making a memory you have with someone you care about into a beautiful story. Sometimes it's a funny story. It's a story that makes us laugh when we did something quite foolish or somebody, you know, did something and we witnessed it and we can tell the story. So invoke your inner storyteller. Awaken your mind. Hello, my friend. How are you? Good to see you. Bonjour. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Okay, so freedom. Not surprised with the group that's showing up here today that this card has come up. And anyone on the replay too, your energy went into this. And I love this card. It's got the abstract look of wings spreading, and it reminds me of like going within, going without, just going where you're called, going where your inner guidance takes you, and doing that freely and with your full embrace. So I love that energy coming up as a collective message. Even though we're focused on relationships, for some people, this could be a freedom in relationships, being in friendships, partnerships, business partnerships, where you are free to express yourself, where you don't feel like with your partner or your friend that you have to be anybody other than who you are. So that in the terms of relationships could have a big impact as well. Okay, and like I said at the beginning, I got a little something going on, so you'll have to excuse me while I clear my voice at times. Cheers, cheers. I'm glad you guys are talking amongst yourselves. So yeah, some of you come from similar groups and communities, and some of you are friends of mine. So it's great to say hello to one another that way. So Okay, and the other energy that we got to go along with freedom, that was the 21 card. 2 plus 1 is 3, if you all want to work with the numbers. And then this card doesn't have a number, but it's called the Rose Thread. And it's about being soul led. This is about living courageously. This is a card representing your inner mystic. So, for those of you who are mystics and love to go into the mysteries and the depths of the energies and different, I really feel that these two energies together have to do with your own personal spiritual exploration, your connection with nature. The rose, of course, is a flower that grows in nature. Stop and smell the roses. How do you hold rose energy within you? What color is your rose? What stage of growth is your rose? What do the thorns look like? What does the stem look like? What do the petals look like? Allow yourself some time in with this energy. Some of you, this is going to be connected to a heart calling, feeling very heart led. And here it says soul led, but I also get the feeling of the heart for some of you with the rose like opening. And that can be used as a metaphor for the opening of your heart as well. So the rose thread, we're being invited to pull on that rose thread. And with what I started with, which was the value of storytelling, tell about your rose. Maybe that's something that you do today. What does your rose look like? What does it feel like? Does it need water? Does it need sunlight? And that rose is you. It's your inner mystic that may need a little bit of attention right now during this time, and honoring that. Okay, let's get a few tarot cards here. So we're going to go with, I've been addicted to this deck lately. It's called the Herb Crafters Tarot. It's a play off of the Rider-Waite Smith, but it's all herbs and it's amazing. I love it. And I'm learning. Some of these herbs I'm familiar with, some I am not. So we just have to play with these decks sometimes and build a relationship with them. All right. Ooh, la la. I know some of you gonna like this one. We got the number 8, which is the strength card in this deck and in the Rider-Waite, and it's represented in this deck by garlic. Who loves garlic? Who loves garlic? Okay. I absolutely love garlic. I've grown garlic in the winter time, especially, but most year round, but especially in the winter. I'm always the one popping a little extra clove or two into my chilies, my stews, my soups, chicken. I'll add garlic to nearly anything. And it has this big energy about it, doesn't it? It really is potent. It's like a power packed kind of thing, right? And I love this. I love this coming up. I love this coming up with storytelling, because I think it represents the power that we can put behind not only our own personal story, but the story of our ancestry, the stories of freedom, since that came up, the stories of truth, and really getting that out. Garlic and honey. Oh yes. Have you ever just like got yourself some crushed garlic, or you cut up a bit and you just take a spoon, put the honey and just eat it down? Yes, beautiful herb for the immune system, powerful, potent, and I think this goes a long way. I love it on pizza. It'll go good on that Freedom Lovers pizza. Yes, I love that. Yes, put it on pizza. You could put it on just about everything. I've never put it on peanut butter and jelly, though. Has anybody tried that? That'd probably be a different kind of taste. So, and if you've ever grown it, the long soft stem garlic, up here we see it can be braided together. It's actually quite beautiful, and if you store it properly, it will last. You can get a whole grouping of the bulbs here, and they will last for, over winter. I think it's a wonderful, wonderful thing for us to keep in mind. So, too far with the PB&J? Yeah, that sounds kind of gross, doesn't it? Okay, let's get another tarot card. This one will be from the Light Seers Tarot. And let's see what comes up. Some of you may be also, while I'm pulling another card, I feel that some of you are adding strength to your friendships and your business collaborations. Remember, we got that rose thread, and it feels like for some of you, you have this inner calling for collaborations or working with others, or even just in your friendships, and that is looking to be strengthened. So I don't know if that means meeting new people, maybe for some of you, working with someone different, or you have somebody you work with now and there's a new dynamic or a strength coming into the relationship. This Blaze over here, guys, he's making his little bed over there. Ooh, we're going to get a little juxtaposition here. I love that word, juxtaposition. I love words. Okay, so we got the 8 of Swords, another 8. And the 8 of Swords is a card that reminds us, now it's minor arcana. So we've got the garlic here, and the garlic's like, I'm taking center stage, okay? But we want to be aware, collectively speaking, that there are ways that we stop ourselves and that we get too caught up in the images. This isn't about you're just going to go out and be an amazing storyteller overnight, or you're going to know exactly what to say and how. But if you keep yourself stuck in wondering, if you don't actually take the action, it can have this effect here. And see how we have like the ravens trying to inform her and the way she's remaining stuck. Some of them are pulling on the strings to try to encourage her to let go, because these are self-imposed energies. These are the ways we talk ourselves out of things that we know are valuable and important. So when it comes to maybe having that important conversation or telling that story and sharing that story you need to tell, don't let yourself get stuck in energies of, well, I'm not as good of a storyteller as so and so. I'm not able to do that the way they do. Who am I? The imposter syndrome, right? And this would come in the form too for some of you. Maybe it's not talking and being an orator. Maybe it's your self-expression, an art form of some kind, whatever way you express yourself, writing, art, working with nature elements, whatever it is. And so there's a lot of some of you too. Okay, so for some of you, and I don't know who this could be one or more of you. For some of you, this is hitting me on in a sense that you are so strongly filled and potent with ideas that you don't know which thread to pull first. Like you have so much that you're like the creative downloads have poured in, and there's so many ideas that sometimes it's a little confusing to know which direction to go first. So there may be some planning that has to come into this, or it's just like, hey, pick a thread and pull it. All of these ideas are beautiful, they're all great. Maybe tuning into that inner mystic within yourself and letting the mystic choose which thread to pull. All right, let me read some of these great comments. The thread of the rose, the ravens pull on it. Yes, hi Jen. Jen is here. Yay. Hi. The garlic is for our internal emotional vampire. See, yes, these cards have many meanings. Whatever your intuition is telling you, I'm so glad you guys are sharing that. Absolutely. There's some different takes on this here. And, when we look at fending off, maybe this card could be, okay, we have this reflection, this inner vampire, and the garlic will help ward that off, right? We use strength to break through these threads or to unwind these threads. Yes, the swords do have dramatic scenes. Absolutely right. Because the all is the mind, and we create, through our thoughts, we create our reality. this is one of, I think, the toughest of the minor arcana suits to work through because of all the inversions and traps and snares that we have in the world, right? That are put upon us, thrust upon us, the brainwashing, everything. There is an unwinding. This would also represent an unwinding of some of those things, like the beliefs that we were raised with, right? That were propagated in the energetic field, in the reality field. So swords can be, yeah, they can inform quite a bit, but they can also be some of the trickier energies and the more dramatic. Strength card is also connected to Leo energy, so a bit of dramatic energy here. That's okay. Leo is all about self-expression. So for some of you, you may have Leo in your chart somewhere. That's important to look at. My Venus is there in Leo. So that's an interesting, as well as my partner. That makes for a very passionate and interesting mix, right? So some of you may have these Leo placements in your astrology that are important for you to reflect upon and look at. All right. Maybe folks are sharpening their S word swords on pyrite instead of the philosopher's stone. Yeah. Yeah. So that's a good analogy. I like that because pyrite is not as hard. It's flaky, right? More flaky and not really the best way to sharpen your sword. So this is also with garlic being protection, this would be protecting those mental energies, protecting your mental space, right? So we need to make sure the physical body, the emotional bodies are clear enough to support the mental space as well, right? And that's important. We got a Leo sun. There you go. My friends, well, okay, it's my brother-in-law and his girlfriend, their little boy, he's a Leo, and he's so cute. I was asking him the other day because he's like 2, 2.5. And he's like, I was like, what's your favorite animal? And he kind of looked at me because he's still kind of warming up to me, getting used to me when I'm around and stuff. And I was like, is it a doggy? And no, and his mom's like, tell her what your favorite animal is. And he wouldn't do it. He was being shy. And she goes, it's a lion. And he goes, roar. He made this cute little roar sound. That's what he said. And he ran off. And it was so cute. I love Leos. My son is a Leo as well. So it's an energy that I really like working with. Close to me, I'm Cancer sun. So it's kind of close to me on that wheel. Okay. Oh, my kids are calling. I forgot to remind them I have a live right now, so I'll call them afterwards. All right, we got a card. This is the Lover's Oracle, these heart-shaped cards. And the one I pulled has this image on it. It says, when you pass from this world, you take nothing with you but your soul and the memories you have shared with those you love. And I think that's an amazing way to kind of wrap up this collective reading before we do the breakout sessions, because that goes back to the stories that you tell and the impressions that they leave and the art that you make and what you gift to the people that come after you, whether it's children, whether it's friends that have become like family, right? So there is gifts in this, and remembering to focus on what's most important to your soul. Maybe that's when you're feeling overwhelmed, you ask your inner mystic, ask your soul what thread you should pull, which rose thread you should pull, and then make that happen. Give it flight. The Eight of Swords is connected to the element of air. So something wants to take flight here for you. Cool. Love that. Those were all really cool, powerful messages. All right, I'm going to put the tarot cards back in. I'm going to set the oracle cards aside because I want to kind of reflect back on them as we go. So let me get my little timestamp notes here. We're going to do some breakout sessions today. And I'm going for it. We're going to do singles. We're going to do couples. And we're going to do It's Complicated. All right. So whatever reading you gravitate to is what you gravitate to. You can listen to all of them because in a way, each of them will have a message, or we may have somebody in our life that's single. If we're in a couple, but somebody's single, they're really focused on love. Some of you might be the matchmaker types, right? So you might find some value as you listen as like a cross listen or a cross watch for someone else. But you probably feel like one of those categories stands out for you personally. So singles, couples, and It's Complicated. We're going to start off with a singles here. So, and I've got more fun cards to bring in, but we're going to use some of the same decks. And what I'm going to do for singles today is I want to look at the masculine dynamic and the feminine dynamic, okay? And how those energies are coming together, even if it's just energetically, okay? So we're going to look at one masculine for our singles, one feminine. Interesting. And then we're going to get a couple tarot cards to clarify. So we're going to do a primary and a clarifier here for our singles. Looks like an album cover for Earth, Wind, and Fire. I love Earth, Wind, and Fire. All right. Okay. Very interesting, the masculine energies. Okay. How cool. So for our single men out there, masculine energies, or for women who are working on attracting in a man, right? We have the 5 of Fire from our Herb Crafters deck here. So this is the 5 of Wands, and we have the High Priestess. And she's also the cover art for this deck. Now, this is really interesting because the masculine energies, the masculine single energies are craving wisdom in the feminine. They're craving intuition. They could be working on their own intuitive energies as well, but they're doing so with more of an edge. There's more of an edge to it with this 5 of Fire. There's passion. There also feels like there's a bit of tension. So for single men, or if you're looking or out there, or maybe you're happy being single, and that's fine. A lot of people, they take the time, they're happy being single, but you may be working with these energies within yourself of tension. So up in the card here, I'll start with this card. We have the 5-pointed star here. And that is simply put, it's being pulled in different directions. So that could be something for the masculine that has come up. Like, what is the kind of partner that I want? What do I want the qualities to be? Let me try to center myself in understanding what I'm attracted to and why. This can be a card of attraction, but it also comes with a little bit of conflict, right? So there could be a review going on for our single men about how you've gotten drawn into certain relationships or relationship dynamics in the past. And you may find this coming up not just in romantic, but you can find this coming up in relationships that are friendships, or that are kind of like, what is this going to be? Is this going to be a friendship? Is this going to be more? I feel like that energy is what some of the single men might be going through here. But yeah, there's an edge here. And I think that's okay. It feels to me like this edge is being explored. The edges are being explored. The tension is being explored, right? And that's an art and a science, to be within oneself and have the power to do this kind of movement through the tension. And this is a black cohosh. So black cohosh, I know, well, one of the uses, black and blue, I think both. They get things going. It can be an herb when used properly. I'm not an herbalist or a professional, but it can get labor going. It can get things moving, right? Has the at a very specific time. There's a timing element for it. This is an herb that has a very specific purpose. And how interesting that it is called black cohosh and the flowers are white, right? So we have that dynamic there of the light and the dark, right? Energies. So the men are really moving into something here. The single men really working with these tensions, okay, and getting pulled. Some of you may feel that on your journey, when we look at the major arcana of the tarot, we take a journey through the major arcana multiple times in our life. Okay, it's not just you're on step 1, step 2, step 3 like that. It's we journey and sometimes we weave in and out. And for some of you men, it feels like you're at the gate of the high priestess. You're at the veil. And you're having a conversation with her here about what is seen and what is unseen. And so if you look closely at this card, look at her eyes. Her eyelids are closed, but you see eyes open through like the tops of her eyelids there. Okay? And there's some conversation here going on about what's seen, what I see visually, and what I perceive intuitively as it pertains to relationships and people's energies. So some of you are at this veil having a very important conversation here within yourselves. And possibly this comes up more and more so when you're dealing with the feminine. All right. And her third eye, yep, her third eye area is lit up. She's got the crown also leading to some higher dimensions there. We've got the runes. We love the runes at the top floating around, right? There's conversation here. Runes are a language. So some of you are having this dialogue. This could even be, and I wouldn't be surprised if this is happening on a subconscious level for many of you men right now. But this feels to me like a much needed and a sacred conversation, much needed part of your path. Perhaps you're discussing with the high priestess the feminine energies and understanding that because there has been a lot of tension or conflict, possibly some that you're healing. But this does show a lot of courage to explore to this depth where you're at in that dynamic, right? And what that feels like. Now, some of you will be able to envision someone around you or someone you're connected to that fits the bill that you're thinking of, right? And others of you, it could be a more, I'm having a review. I'm kind of reflecting on this. Maybe before I go out and pursue again, right? So there's some time there. Now, the feminine singles, what are they up to? Well, they are in their heart space, craving partnership, but also craving partnership from more of a place of ease. There is a little bit of an element here of, and maybe it's that Pisces energy of kind of maybe telling yourself a story, a little romantic love story, Romeo and Juliet, and kind of going into those in the clouds kind of energetic visions here with this mallow. It feels very fluffy, cloud-like. It might be a little out there. Some of you might need to, and you're going to see with the next card, some of you might need to pull yourself back down to earth, ladies. Single ladies. Let's come back down to earth. Let's get a little bit more real. Okay, we know you're a dreamer. The lovers, the dreamers, like that Muppet song, the lover, the dream. Is that the Muppet song? And me? Is it the Rainbow Connection? I can't remember. But that's kind of what I get. I get that vibe here. And it's a little bit illusionary here. Now, the Two of Cups is a beautifully intended card. It is about connecting with someone else from heart to heart. Mallow is good for sore throats. I need that. I need to go get some mallow today. Yeah. So I'm going to say it's also good to comfortably bring you back down to earth, okay? Because there's a little bit of a feeling of escapism here. There's a little bit of like, I'm going to my happy place, leave me alone. And that's fine. We all need to detach at times. We all need to have those moments where we float off and just, have those moments, but there's also a time to come back down and look at what's really going on. So, the single females here, make sure you're doing that. This is about you honoring your own feelings at the same time. Okay, so it may not feel that great to bring yourself back down to earth to look at your situation. You might have some energies of judgment going along towards yourself and toward men and toward relationships that might need to be cleared out. So, partnerships, whatever that means for you. Yes. So I do love the element of the softer energies coming through with the mallow. If there's a way, and I think this is going to be the test for the single ladies out there, and it's going to be coming back down to earth, but you don't got to land with a thud, okay? You're going to get into a little bit more real energies and make sure that the stories you're telling yourself about partnership, having a romantic partner, aren't fantasies, right? So there's a bit of that fantasy, but let's gently bring ourselves down and let's ground in the energy of the Knight of Pentacles here. This is an energy that will help with those of you who might at times feel caught up in, like, I have this idea of the man I want, and this is how I'm going to get there, and this is what I need. The Knight of Pentacles slows things down. We're taking our time. Turtle energy, slow and steady wins the race. We're going to lay some of these pentacles down. I'm going to work with maybe one energy at a time. I'm not going to overwhelm myself. I'm not going to drop back into reality with a thud. I'm going to come back down. I got my horse. My horse is full of wisdom. I have support here down on the ground. I have support. I have the free feeling energy of the horse. Some of you are considering that. How do I maintain my independence and freedom and connect romantically with someone else, or connect from heart to heart, even if you're just forming friendships? Let's say romance is not really in the cards for you, or you're not really interested in that at this time. But how do you connect deeply and from a place of also freedom, where you don't feel bound to be a certain way or do a certain thing? You still have your independence, you still have some level of freedom. And it depends on the woman. Women are different with how they want to have their independence, right? For some of them, that means time. For some of them, that means space. For some of them, that means I just need to have my little project. For some of them, that could mean I just want to cook and clean and do that kind of stuff. And letting it be okay how the women want to express themselves. But ladies that are single, work on bringing the fantasy back down to earth, okay? And you can do that softly. Let's not like shock your nervous system or anything like that, but come back and really take a look at what's going on around you. And you also could benefit from what I was picking up in the masculine energies, which I'm not surprised, because we have this kind of reflection sometimes, in that you could really take time to focus on doing a review. And what have these previous pinnacles that you've dropped felt like? Where are you coming from? And if we look in here too, the knight is a male character. So you may be benefiting from some of the more masculine energies. But if we take the gender out of it, this is about action. Slow action. We're not going to push it, but it's about action. nonetheless, and taking steps. And so some of you, as this character is kind of looking back as well, kind of turning and looking over the shoulder at maybe some of the pinnacles that were laid before. Maybe some of you have been in relationships where you had the story and the idea in your mind and you thought it was going to be that way. Lo and behold, reality had a whole different take on it, right? So that could be for some of you what's going on here. Okay, I want to get a little deeper into the masculine feminine before we go in how the energies connect. So for our single men, let's look at the divine masculine energies through the journey to the divine masculine. And this is all kinds of perspectives in here. So what's up for our single men? They're kind of sticky. You kind of like, I feel that tension every time I tune into your energy. Some of you may have a little bit of like sexual release that you're feeling, that kind of tension, intimacy. Woo. Okay, there's a couple in here, a couple of them stuck together. So I was going to pull two, but we're going to go with three. In this time, in this tension, in the ways that you're pulling yourself to the edges, there's lessons for you. And it says here, a valuable soul lesson needed to make self whole again. Some of you could be working with heartbreak of the past or heartache from the past, where it's not that you're not whole, but when we go through experiences, they can leave a mark or they can have the tendency to fragment aspects of our soul, especially the deeper the connections, right? So some of you may be kind of coming into those edges where you're like, that taught me this, or this person and my relationship to them taught me that. And now I'm going to carry that forward. What you're craving here is interesting. You want to be a part of a team when it comes to relationships, when it comes to partnering up. Now, romantic, friendship, business, you want that feeling of teamwork. Teamwork makes the dream work, as my kids always say. And I remind them of that when the chores need doing. Teamwork makes the dream work, right? So this is about working together in partnership and working together with the masculine and feminine dynamics, working together in a balanced way. And in this particular card, they're doing a little painting. Maybe it's to make a space better, right? So some of you could be working on space issues or living arrangements, imagining how it could be to have someone living with you, right? In your space. That makes my nose itch. I got uncomfortable there for a minute. Got a little agitated there for a minute. For some of you men too, travel is going to carry you somewhere. There's important aspects of travel, so you may need to go somewhere. There may be a destination that's been on your list, or the potential for you to make connections increases as you travel and as you move around, right? Okay. All right. I want to read a few comments here. I wish this was mallow tea. It's not, but it's a good tea. Oh, that damn Disney upbringing. Yes, Kimberly, Disney version of love instead of balance, respect. All the ooey gooey. Makes me laugh. Oh my goodness. Okay. No cart before the horse. Yeah, don't put the cart before the horse. Take your time. Right. Yes, good point. Okay, so when we look at this night for our ladies, because now the ladies are taking over, the night is continuing the journey, continuing to walk while reflecting, even though that night walks alone, except the horse is there. Let's remember that. And I feel like one of my mentors said, and I'll never forget this, he's like, horses are like present day dragons. And so there's a consciousness connection with the horse there. So you're definitely carrying, and horses carry, there's definitely important themes there going along with the horse. Okay, so let's get some feminine energies. So we know what the men are doing. Men, the masculine energy is more straightforward, I gotta say. Then I kind of come over here and then I'm like, oh, here we go again. I'm flowing. Men are like this, and this. Okay, got it. Women are like, nah. let's go a little deeper here. Let's take our time. We're gonna flow. And it's beautiful. That's why I love the beauty of the differences. Oh my goodness. So ladies, you have your own lesson that you're reflecting on. This is really interesting. So for some of you that are single and, maybe you're pursuing relationships, maybe you're not, but very interesting that I'm reading that both in the masculine and feminine energies, there's lessons going on. There's learnings going on and being incorporated. Again, and it has the same phrase, valuable soul lesson needed to make self whole again, right? And maybe it is that energy, we always, what was that? What was that dang show with Tom Cruise and what's her name? And she's like, I can see the actors, but this is just sometimes things slip my mind. You guys will know. This is where she says, Renee Zellweger, is that her name? You complete me, right? To Tom Cruise. He's like the sports better guy or whatever. What's that with the cute little kid? You guys know what I'm talking about. If you're a Gen Xer, you probably know. But anyway, yes, Jerry Maguire. Thank you. I kept wanting to say a different movie. I kept wanting to say Bridget Jones' Diary because I was thinking of her. Yes, he says it to her, you complete me. Interesting. Okay. Well, this is the lesson here, is to complete the self, is to find the wholeness in the self. And I think that's what the feminine is leaning into here, is learning to feel whole within herself. And it is very much a feeling. It's not necessarily mental. It's more of a feeling. It's more of emotional energies of like, I feel great within myself, so I am. I am because I feel it. And she also got boundaries, self-care being a priority, making sure you're honest and direct, that you own your no's, you own your yeses, and what that looks like. And we know life gives us many ways to practice this day to day, not just with romantic situations, right? So for some of you, this could mean that someone does extend an offer and you feel the need to set a boundary, or someone crosses a line and you're working on this. Others of you just know you haven't done that great with these in the past, with these boundaries. And so you're like, I know I got to get this in place so that when I do attract in my partner or my person, that I can have these healthy boundaries, and that's going to be okay. There's a lot for you about being accepted as you are, having your independence accepted, having your emotions accepted, and maybe feeling, it's not that I think you need somebody to validate by saying a bunch of complimentary words, but just the nature of your being wants to feel validated in this person's presence. So for our single ladies, boundaries, self-awareness, self-care. This is all about self-care, being able to be direct and not beat around the bush. Anybody else raised to beat around the bush, to be quiet and polite, not say things? I know I was. I grew up, I'm a minister's daughter. I grew up in a church. And I love pleasantries and P's and Q's. I love telling people my pleasure. I don't say no problem. I always say my pleasure, because that's how I feel. Like I'm not doing something unless it's my pleasure to do it. No problem. Well, there never was a problem. Problem doesn't have anything to do with it. right? So it's my pleasure. I like being courteous, polite. I like the pleasantries when they're authentic, but I had to learn how to be like, "Ooh, this doesn't feel right, and I'm gonna tell you no. I'm not gonna tell you yes because that's what you want. I'm gonna really tune into what I want and be able to respond accordingly." So, people pleasing. Oh my gosh, we could do a whole thing on people pleasing, couldn't we? Okay, let's check out what energies are in the middle here. All right, so we know what the singles are up to here. We're going to go with the sacred geometry of relationships. So, single people, you're obviously not fully connected in, right, with someone else, except energetically, you might be. Or this might be the type of the masculine group. There's individual masculine energies and feminine energies, and there's group energies, right? So these might be what you're just kind of playing with and stepping into. It doesn't necessarily mean, you have some sort of energetic cord connected to someone. I'm not really picking that up in this case. Okay, so the connective energies, this is fascinating and interesting. For our singles right now, the divine masculine is coming up here, number 17 card, or 1 plus 7 is 8, which was kind of reflected in our collective reading, right? With our garlic and our 8 of swords. The frequency of the divine masculine supports the active, focused, and strong side, facilitating our capacity to transform our dreams into form. And honestly, this feels good as a glue for the connective energies for singles right now, because it is about when we're taking those actions, we quickly find out if we're in connection, right, to creation, to the cosmos, to cosmic law, to natural law. When we're taking action, we find this out. And are we ignited in that connection so that the action we're taking is aligned? And this is something important to take into the dating. If you're dating, or like I said, some of you, it might be friendships building, it could be business partnerships growing. There's the masculine element is stepping up and saying, we're going to be active, focused, and strong. And I also think that energy is important for the feminine, which is a beautiful way that I'm kind of feeling the single man energy informing the single woman, because she wants to be independent. She wants to be strong, but also we had this kind of fantasy, softer side going on. So this is leaning into the masculine energy that it will catch you when you fall kind of energy, right? When you're really falling. If you can't catch yourself, that's what it feels like. It feels like a more supportive energy. And it feels like a more physically dynamic energy where there's going to be support in the physical world. And that's important for the feminine that I was reading here, the single feminine, because if she has the tendency to escape into fantasy, these energies are important because this is more about the form, down to earth, what's going on here. And then we got this really cool. I love the art on this card. And it says reflection, give each other some space at the moment, which you are because you're single and you've tuned into this reading. Trust and have faith that all will work out for the best. And that's a beautiful message. That's a beautiful message for this group. Everything's going to work out. Everything's going to work out. So the men who might be feeling that tension, remember I got the tension in the very beginning, might be exploring your edges and you have this edginess to you and conflict. It could be showing up in anger. It could be showing up in frustration, right? Might be a little bit of that going on. This reflection is so important for you to understand this and for you to work your way through it with yourself personally, right? That's why you're going out into those edges and you're seeing where you land in all these different ways of you, right? These different aspects of you, these different journeys of you. And for the feminine, it is more of the trust fall and trusting that the masculine will show up for you, right? Because there are many women out there that want to feel safe. They want to feel safe, and they haven't felt safe in the past with the masculine through their experiences or father issues and things like that. So we have to work on that within ourselves first, right? We have to do a certain level of healing and we have to be self-aware, which came up for the feminine here with the boundaries. We have to have that in place because the divine masculine will recognize that as important, right? So beautiful. I love this card. I love the darkness and the depth to this card because it means that the reflections aren't just all airy fairy and light and happy and joyful. We're going into our shadows a bit. We're going into our pain a bit. We're exploring the edges like the masculine showed and represented. I really like the lead feeling that I'm getting in the masculine here. And I would say probably these single ladies are craving that man who will lead. That feels good to me. I love that both groups are working on lessons and finding value in what they've learned and taking it to the next level. Kim says, I wonder though if it shouldn't be a fantasy to be able to be softer as the feminine. I wonder though if it shouldn't be a fantasy. What do you mean by that? Oh, you guys guys want to see my bruise? Remember when I fell? Like I told some of you, it's changing. Here's where it hit. Like I fell at Great Wolf Lodge with my kids, but it's healing. It looks gross, but it's like actually getting better. That it should not be a fantasy to be able to be softer. Right. No, 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 no. And that I think I'm understanding what you're saying, but it shouldn't be a fantasy to be able to be softer. So you're saying you crave being able to be softer. Is that what you mean? And letting that be okay to be softer? Because of course that's important. And I think softness is one thing, but fantasy is another thing, right? So you may be on to an important point there. I think if you can, because the feminine does need to be soft. In order for her to soften, right, she needs to have masculine energies that are protective and strong. So she feels safe and protected in softening. It's not a fantasy. I think I was talking about landing more softly, like, into your softer energies, not landing yourself back in masculine energies, if that makes sense, when it comes to this Knight of Pentacles here. But yeah, that's a great point. I don't think any feminine should feel like she can't soften. In fact, that's probably a sign. If you feel like you can't soften with someone, right? That may be a sign. But there's also that feeling of independence in the feminine that I'm getting as well, right? Where she kind of wants to show some ways that she's strong. Maybe it's in softer expressions, however. So play with that a little. I think that's a really good point. All right, how about couples? Anybody in a couple here besides me? And Karen, I know that, but I don't know everybody that's still on and what they got going on, but let's go into couples and see what's up with our couples. We'll, let's get masculine. People please, we love aligned action. Red flag sign, yeah, red flag. Red flag if you can't soften with the masculine. I'm thinking of like a younger sister that grew up with all older brothers, though, and they kind of like protect her and stuff, and either protect her or make her more tough, one of the two. All right, masculine energies. Let's grab the feminine here too before I get all the way into this. So in our couples, the masculine energies are very interesting, doing something a little different here. Okay, feminine. Beautiful. Okay, so couples, let's start with the masculine and what's going on there. They get the Three of Cups, lemon balm. Now, it's funny. This is when I do these readings on the live, they're meant to be timeless, but I will say at the time of recording, it's Valentine's Day. Masculine might be planning something, but if it's not Valentine's Day, I feel like he's planning something. He's planning a get together, or he wants to have a get together and wants to do something that feels good, something that feels good to the feminine, because this is a very feminine looking card. So I feel like the masculine in some way, shape, or form is setting up something for his feminine. That is something she can enjoy. We've got the tea, we've got the cakes. I mean, I would love this. Look at this. We've got, is that like a little kitty cat there or a mouse? It's a mouse. I thought it was a cat, but it's a mouse, a little mouse sitting in a chair. It's like a little tea party kind of thing. And we got lemon balm. Ooh, this feels good. I do get, now, not getting into lemon balm and its properties necessarily, but I get a sensual kind of feeling to this masculine energy in a couple here. Our coupled up masculine, there's a sensuality going on. There's, it's like the senses, touch, taste, smell. Those are all very important to him right now. He's having an emotional experience with that. Lemon balm is calming, also great for hormones. That's good. Yep. And I'm getting a bit of pheromones too here from the masculine. I don't know if it's a pheromone related, but yeah, we have a little bit of a little Alice in Wonderland. So we have a little bit of mystique here with this lemon balm, very sensual. Okay. And there's something new this masculine wants to do or try. Now it's interesting, or he's seeing his feminine take a risk and branch out on something here with the Fool card here. The Fool is definitely a more carefree energy. We definitely have that freedom vibe running through the energies of these readings today. The Fool at times can be naive and a little bit gullible. So maybe your masculine is at times like it's easy to kind of joke, like he falls for the jokes or falls for that or something like that. And maybe you play with him a little bit, or he enjoys the play. He enjoys the light, gentle roasting and the playful aspect of his feminine. He enjoys that. He likes her to try new things with him. It feels like an invitation here because he's definitely setting something up and wants to create that sensual, enjoyable space for the feminine to open up. So that's really cool. That's fun. It feels fun. It feels light. It feels good. It feels also romantic, but also like there's that layer of sensuality underneath. Our feminines today, we've got the 10 of Swords, 10 of Air in this deck, Alfalfa. So there's something she's processing. There's something that's being digested here. Alfalfa immediately takes me to the gut. So for our coupled up feminines, you may be working on your gut health or digesting maybe this newer, fresher energy your man is bringing into you. So it could come through on the physical. It could come through in the emotional energies that you have with your man. And we have it's like a, what do you call that? It looks like, you don't call this a sickle, do you? What's this blade thing called? It looks like what the Grim Reaper carries. I don't know all my blades, guys. Somebody has to throw me a bone here. But the 10 of Swords is connected to maybe feeling a little bit heavy, a little bit in the heavier energies. It could be from something physical going on. So you could be dealing with that. You really could be trying to lighten your load or lighten your perspective or lighten your mood in order to have more fun, to be more in this playful energy. I know that happens to me sometimes. I have a Scorpio North Node. I get really serious sometimes and I forget to like chill the fuck out and like just hang out with my guy and have fun. Because I'm always like into this existential esoteric stuff and I need to read a book. I need to do this. I need to do that. And it gets like it's way too serious sometimes. Step back and laugh. So I think the feminine's working on this, feeling a little, the scythe, thank you, feeling a little heavy. feeling a little heavy, like things might be a little heavy. I don't get that it's in the relationship. I feel like it's more something to do with her herself. Okay, so the coupled up feminines, there's something you're dealing with yourself that makes you feel heavy. Perimenopausal here. I feel that way a lot. Okay, but we got the star here. Whew, this feels better. This feels like this energy is more aligned with the Fool. It feels, this is Aquarius energy. It feels more carefree. It feels like we're going to just open up our heart anyway, even if we are going through some heavier energies where we're not feeling as good. We're going to let that, we're going to let that go. We're going to let that rest, and we're going to take some time out. We're going to tune in with some more carefree energies, more beautiful energies. Maybe we're focused on the brightness or the beauty that comes from our relationship with our masculine, why we fell in love with him in the first place, right? What are these kind of more innocent and light energies that brought us into this connection? And so there's this focus that the feminine is taking into, okay, even though things feel heavy, maybe the in the relationship you are taking on something that feels quite heavy, like maybe there's some responsibility there that feels heavy. And even if the two of you agree that it's a responsibility that you're taking and he's taking other responsibilities, you still could be kind of feeling the weight of that. And this feels good because it feels like you are taking that time out. You're getting some of that, those moments, more of those moments to lighten up and to let go and relax and release and have a little bit more fun here. Okay. Aquarius does not like to be tied down. So it feels good that the masculine is kind of planning something and putting something together. Because I think to you right now, with the energies that you're moving through feminine, you're just too heavy, right? And so for him to plan something, to go get something for you, to do an act of service that takes something off your plate, feels really nice right now. Feels really nice. Okay, let's get into some more of these masculine energies here. And it's sensual. I mean, he does have sensual intentions. Don't get me wrong, all right? He has sensual intentions, but there's also a sweetness here. And it's real. It's real. Interesting. Oh, do I want one more? No, this is good. Okay, so your masculine is working on making self-care a priority, having self-awareness around his feelings, what his boundaries are. To me, for some of you, this feels more like he's putting up boundaries with work, overworking, because we have kind of like a businessman looking dude here. He's in a suit. And I'm feeling like maybe some of these masculine being taken advantage of at work or not valued properly, pouring in too much time, working too hard and not getting rewarded properly, being more direct, asking for that raise. That's this kind of energy. It doesn't necessarily feel like it's boundaries with you, although it's important for couples to have healthy boundaries in their connections and him to own his yeses and own his nos. So for some of the coupled up men, you are working on that. You're working on that in all aspects of your life. But I do feel a big pull here of like, this is the way you're carrying the responsibility. You're really working with boundaries here. So the feminine's carrying her level of responsibility, the masculine also. It feels more vocal to me though, like you need to tell someone something. So for our coupled up men, you may really be, and I'm starting to get like something needs to come up and out. This happens to me sometimes, that feeling where I get the actual physical feeling. Maybe this is something you're considering. Maybe you're doing a new proposal. This could be a legal matter where you're needing to set something up. It feels like a protective energy though, like you're trying to protect your relationship as well. We've got marriage here. So you're trying to protect your time with your feminine. You're trying to protect your energy with your feminine. so that whatever you're dealing with outside of the home doesn't get brought in to the home. Whatever you're dealing with in another realm doesn't get brought in and affect this. And there's a bit of nostalgia I'm feeling on the masculine side as well. It's like he's telling me, you're as beautiful as the day I met you and the day we got married. That was, or the day we made our commitment to each other. Because not everybody is into marriage. So this could have to do, you could synonymously call this commitment to a partner, right? And so this feels very good. And I feel like he's honoring that. He's turning his attention to that. And that's important, not for just one day of the year, but for throughout as we cycle in our connections and in our relationships and in our lives. And there are a lot of men out there working really hard and not being valued properly for their efforts. Feel like that needs to be said because there's a little bit of a sense of injustice there. All right. What about our coupled up feminines? Oh, Karen, it's okay. I appreciate you all commenting, but if you need a moment, sometimes processing, something comes up and it gives you that zing. We need a moment to process. Oh, wow. Okay. So feminine energy. Okay. I feel like the feminine is in a place here, coupled up feminines. You're in a place where you have your responsibility in your relationships, maybe in your work with what you're doing. And you have been working with both the masculine and feminine energies, particularly through your actions. You got warrior. This has been coming up a lot for the feminine. And I'm just going to go into a little analogy here. In our human history, right, it's typically the warriors who go out and battle, right? Physically speaking, the anatomical makeup of a man is more suited for the aggression, right? And so the feminine oftentimes would be behind the scenes. Is there a time to step up for the feminine to step up next to the masculine and battle? Absolutely. Absolutely. Even physically, if need be, if things were to get to that point, absolutely. You're defending your home. You've got children. Somebody's trying to get in your home to you're both going to step the fuck up and you're going to battle, right? Okay. But there's also this angle for you coupled up feminines of like the warrior of the home, of the energetic warrior. And it says here strength, determination, and courage, but also receptivity, spirituality, and tenderness. This is, I think, what Kim was talking about, that we want to soften, and it's okay to soften. And we can do that in our connection here. So some of you may have felt your own kind of pressure, or like you were warring up, right? The feminine had her battle gear on. Again, this doesn't feel like the two of you are coming at each other. There could be a little bit of energy that like somebody's in a mood and you catch them at the wrong time, but I don't feel anything intentional with him and his boundaries and you in this energy, right? There's nothing intentionally hurtful coming from either of you to the other. But this is about you having kind of this inner journey of being strong within yourself, but soft. Is that challenge in our world, right? So you're having strength and determination, which is kind of that pushing forward energy. Taurus, Aries, push forward, Chariot in the tarot. But you're also having that receptivity and tenderness, the Empress, relaxing back into that Empress energy. So some of you are doing this dance in your life. So some of you may have had to step up and do certain things. Rise. I love this. This comes up with the Star card here. Look at her, both of these characters turning upward, turning the gaze upward, rising with the energy of the warrior, of the female warrior, right? It's more of the protective mama bear, doing what's right. Like I get a bit, you guys remember Xena, the warrior princess, and she had a soft side, and her little friend Gabrielle always kind of brought out that soft side or whatever. And she has soft side for protecting, right? There's a bit of that kind of energy kind of going through here. So I love it. I love it. I love that the two of you are working on yourselves in this very unique and powerful way. And then that you're a couple. That's amazing. I like the gestures too that I'm seeing toward each other. Here it is. Yes. Masculine's coming up again. So I'm tuning in now to the energies in between the two of you, and the masculine's definitely bringing this to the table. You must have it in you, feminines, because it's coming up for both of you. This is, I always get Taurus energy, warmth. We want to be warm. Some of us are in cold ass winter situations and we're tired of it. We want the sun and we want to be in our, in our shorts and our skirts and our tank tops again, right? The frequency of sensuality reminds us that as spirits in human bodies, we are sensual beings experiencing joy and pleasure from the physical world through our senses. So, ladies, whatever your man has planned for you, whatever box of chocolates or tea he makes you, or whatever he does for you, just lap it up. Just sit in the lap of luxury with this sensual feeling that you've got going on. Okay. He's bringing it. The masculine is bringing it. And guess what? You get to be in that empress. You get to receive. You get to rise. Look, this is kind of a sensual card when we look closely at it. Ooh, she's kind of rising. We could look at it as rising from the ashes, right? That alchemical process, but I feel more like rising into your sensuality. And we've got this beautiful wheel a turning here. We've got definitely the energy spinning between the two of you, which is amazing. He put new wiper blades on the car for me today, so I'm safe driving to my doctor's appointment an hour away. I love acts of service like that. Oh my gosh. When my Jason does these acts of service, like it could be the smallest thing, and I'm like, ooh, that's so attractive. I love it. And so, yeah, and then he's creating safety for you, right? You're able to take the drive yourself. You're a well-balanced person. You're a good driver. You can get out there and do it yourself. So he's not taking away your capability at all, but he's like, I would like you to be safe. We need you to be able to see through your windshield because who knows what the weather's going to be. And there you go, new wiper blades. Oh, this is so cute. This card is this little image here. It says, someone has deeper feelings for you than they're letting on. And it says secret admirer. I think this is like the little fun. Like if you two play a little game, little games like where you have like set out food that you both like, and then one of the partner, you can blindfold each other, you can have a little fun, get a little bit of freak and kink going, whatever works for you. That's what this energy feels like. You guys want to have a little play, maybe you want to role play a little bit. I mean, it's getting like, I'm feeling it for you all are getting into it here. So I think it's going to be a good experience for you. But this is cool too, because this is when we're talking about marriage and commitment and people being in a partnership, the deeper feelings are brewing and they change over time and they take new form and they're dynamic. But I'm going to kind of place this on the masculine that he has some deeper feelings here that maybe he hasn't let on or he hasn't like spoken out. So, ladies, be sure, be open, be receptive to the playful energy, play along, have a little fun with him, do your little tease. He likes that. That is attractive to him. He likes that, those little, I don't know. It's like, I don't know. Sometimes I feel like it's like play a little bit coy or a little bit, or just that funny response, that makes him smile. Like sometimes I'll do that and Jason will be like, "Oh, I can't with you." And he's laughing so hard. He's like crying, because I'll like catch him in something really good, and I'll just be like, and I'll say it and he'll be like, "Oh, you got me," and it's just fun. Got to add that fun to our relationships, right? All right. So that's amazing. Okay. Now I have to organize these cards. And we're going to get into our It's Complicated. And whether or not your current situation in relationships, who's been through a It's Complicated situation? I know I've been through more than one of them, right? I've been through more than one. So it's complicated. First off, we want you to know that we've been there. Many of us have been there, no matter our status now. We've been in the It's Complicated. All right. So some of you are out there dating. Some of you may be interesting. Some of you may be in an on again, off again. Some of you may be exiting one connection and playing with the idea of another. Definitely some interesting energies already coming up here. Can you be single and it's complicated? Absolutely. 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 You can be in a couple and it's complicated for sure too. Okay. So our masculine, first off, okay? Guess what came up again? Mallow. But on the masculine side this time. For our singles, it was on the feminine side. For the It's Complicated, it's coming up on the masculine side. Now, this could represent, with this being the Two of Cups, his desire that he is looking for a softer feminine, a gentle touch. I feel a gentle touch coming out of this card. This is the masculine in this reading feels quite emotionally connected and possibly someone I would call more emotionally intelligent, but desiring that softness in the feminine, desiring that gentle touch, loving touch. Maybe if it's complicated and you've been with this person, they're the person that's saying to you, "I love your touch. I love when you hold my hand. I love when you caress my neck," all that kind of stuff. And he's got the King of Cups energy. This feels very emotionally connected. It also feels a little bit complicated here for him. Like complicated in the sense of the time he's spending in contemplation is maybe either different for him or he's at another stage in his development where he is becoming more emotionally available. Okay. So if you're in an It's Complicated situation and this masculine doesn't feel emotionally available, it's something that he's working on, opening up. Okay. I also feel like in this particular situation of It's Complicated, there's a lot more going on under the surface than is being communicated about. So that's something important to remember. I do not feel like the communication is completely online in this It's Complicated dynamic here. All right. On the feminine side, she has the Eight of Earth, which would be the Eight of Pentacles. And in this deck, it's the turmeric. Another, like the garlic, I love this. I add this to chili. Anything that I can get away with, my kids will still eat it. If I can mask the color of this in any dish I make, I will add this in. Anti-inflammatory, great for many recipes. It has kind of a bitter taste if you've ever tasted it, but it's great in juices as well, adding to juices. And this is sacral energy. I think the feminine in that it's complicated is working on the sacral energy. The orange is sticking out to me. Turmeric would be a very important spice or herb for you to use, right? Root, it's a root. I tried to grow it once. I tried to grow ginger and turmeric, and I had some success, but they were pretty small. I didn't get them. They take a very special type of soil and space and everything, and light and heat. So this is sacral energies coming up for her. There could be some womb healing going on. This could be a very physical connection right now, or you are contemplating making this a physical connection now. You're playing it. We have the Four of Pentacles here. The feminine in this dynamic is being a little bit more practical. She's keeping herself, there's parts of herself she's keeping hidden for sure. Remember I said more is going on underneath the surface than is being communicated and seen. That's usually what leads to it is complicated. The masculine seems to be in a very contemplative place, maybe trying to figure out if the feminine in this situation is soft enough for him, like he desires that softness. And I think she may be, but there's healing going on this feminine side here. She's playing it closer to the vest. She's keeping herself more protected. There's some concern maybe about the masculine being able to be the provider. We do have the Pentacles here. This is a card of saving and making sure you're investing properly and that you have your own resources, right? Whatever that looks like for you. There may be a little bit of reluctance on her part to combine her resources with someone else. And he feels that. So he's kind of craving this softness. Now, what he's also learning is to step into higher emotional intelligence. So I think so far in this situation, the communication probably hasn't been that great, honestly. It doesn't feel like it because the both of you have some big things going on. And that's that for those of you who are on again, off again, that's why it's switching back and forth. There's something underneath the surface to be discovered that's very positive, that is drawing you to one another. But then there's these energies of the female. She's focusing on her sacral energies, on maybe some trauma from the past that she's healing, maybe some abuse. Yeah, that's what it feels like. Sexual trauma or abuse, or just whether it's covert, overt. And she's a little bit more like this. Like, I'm working on this within, and it's hard for me to hold space for you and soften for you when I'm working on these energies of trauma here. Okay? That's okay. Trauma is a big thing to work through, especially sacral, womb energy, rape, sexual advances that were unwanted, that kind of thing. That's huge, right? Bye, Derek. We'll see you later. Take care. Yeah, so this is tricky. It's tricky for her. And I feel the sensitivity for her. I feel his desire to connect more emotionally, and the two energies are just the communication, physical, even just talking to one another. Everything is still kind of under the surface, and sometimes it pops up and you guys get together, and then sometimes it feels like it's off again. To me, in this case, it feels like the feminine at times could be, I wouldn't say ghosting, but I would say removing herself a little, distancing herself a little bit. And that makes him feel a certain way. But let's look at this. He feels like he's more connected into some emotional energies and trying to figure out how he feels. Yeah, he's trying to figure out how he feels. He wants clarity. The journey to the divine masculine shows us this masculine wants clarity, and that's what he's trying to gain. He wants to see things clearly. He wants to understand you. He wants to understand the situation, but he wants to understand it for what it truly is. So if this is one of those situations where it's complicated, You know this person, it's kind of been going at a certain level, but there's more under the surface and you both know it. It may be time to have a more powerful conversation with this man. He's certainly looking for it. He can certainly feel it underneath the surface. So if you feel safe and trusting of this man, ladies, it might be good to give him something that he can get some clarity with when it comes to how he feels about you and the situation. I don't think it's an attraction thing. I think there's attraction here. But then other things come up for both of you that feel a certain way and you just need space. He's relying on music a lot. He could be a musician. It says messages received through music and lyrics. That might be one way you want to communicate with him, is send him a song with the lyrics that are meaningful, that might be important. That's a good way for him to receive messages as well. But also not at the expense of coming together and communicating like openly, discussing things, right? Because I do think with the It's Complicated, there can be the tendency where mixed signals could be received. And he feels particularly sensitive to that right now in these energies. On his side, he could be dealing with some mother wounding as well. That is for some of you, not everyone, but some. So if you're the masculine and It's Complicated, maybe have a look into your relationship with your mother. There may be something that needs to be healed there, or there may be something important, a lesson that you learned from her, or something you were taught that may reveal and add clarity to your situation, because you're definitely in your feels. And using music to process your feelings too also can be extremely helpful. For the feminine, I do feel she's trying to nurture herself right now. And she needs to. Dealing with these sacral energies, when we're talking about the sacral, it's money, sex, power, right? It's all of those kinds of energies. And she's got something going on there that needs a little bit of healing. And so those times where she does pull back, the masculine in this situation is going to have to understand what's going on there, because she may just need to pull back into herself and pay a little bit more attention to what's going on inside. She could be easily activated or triggered by certain things as well. And there may be this element where she needs to take things slow. And I think that might be something the masculine would need to understand and would need to be respected about this feminine. She also got stillness. This is that internal stillness. It says quieting one's mind and staying connected to the true self, right? This feminine's energy feels like at times she is having responses very quickly without and she knows, like inside she knows that those responses are not appropriate for the situation, that it's something that's unhealed that is prompting that. And she doesn't always know how to express that because the feelings come up, the trauma comes up, the memories come up, and it almost like, I feel like I don't want to say anything. I feel like she gets choked up, and she needs to be, her method for dealing with this is to go back into her energies, and that means pulling away from the masculine here. Okay. Yeah. Some of these messages will resonate for all of us as we have different stages, whether we're in a partnership or a partnership or not a partnership, right? It can really come across. So yeah, this can happen if it's complicated, but you're in a partnership. This is kind of what you're both working on and what needs to be maybe communicated about a little bit more. It doesn't, again, I feel like there's more under the surface. And a lot of what's going on under the surface is really nice. It's good energy. It's probably the way the two of you can connect. But on the surface here, conscious day to day, we're working out some stuff. And that's okay. We go through these times. I would say both of you are probably landing in the zone of releasing expectation about things. You're both doing it in your own way. Trying not to have heavy expectations toward the other person or too pressurized of expectations against yourself and how you behave in this situation. Very interesting. I will say, whoever is listening and resonating with this, there is, though some of the actions could be interpreted as like ghosting or more immature kind of actions, there is a growth and a maturity vibe to this connection. I think it's just, again, it's kind of under the surface. It's like under the soil there. And you're both working on it in your own ways. That communication will help. And for the energies coming together here, you got 44, union. The energy of union activates our ability to unite our outer and inner aspects toward a state of wholeness. So there's that wholeness again coming up as a possible theme, right? That came up before. And there's this has given me a feeling. We've got kind of the 3 circles and then they're connected by a central blue circle there. It's kind of given me that mind, body, soul feeling where maybe each of you, like if we give, this is a 44, but if we give the 1-4 to the masculine and 1-4 to the feminine, you're working on your own inner stability and bringing that union within yourself so that you can bring it to this partnership. It's certainly what you're learning from each other. You're learning what it takes to carry the stability individually and then bring it into the connection. And you're learning better and better ways to express to one another. Okay. Like I'm tuning in. I know some of you have the feeling, like, let's say you're not in a couple, it's complicated. You're like not a partner, but you are a part, and it's kind of like undefined. I feel the desire that you have, especially on the feminine side, for making this work. But the expectations and the pressure energy, you're trying to not go there, right? You're trying to allow things to flow while you do your own healing. And it's tricky to strike these balances sometimes. So I can't see if this particular, it's complicated situation is going to work out. What I can feel is that there's desire for it to. There's desire for it to. Okay, and here's the image we got for It's Complicated from the Lover's Oracle. Forgiveness. Stop focusing your energy on past events, for life is too precious to waste. You create your reality by what you think, dream, and imagine. Okay, so remember I said this is especially coming up again on the feminine side here. It just feels like there's someone else and something else, some other episode or episodes that happened in the past that require this forgiveness. And I think this masculine energy in your life is presenting that and presenting that opportunity for you to really let that go. Now, there may be forgiveness in this connection itself, where he's going to have to forgive the feminine for pulling away at times. He's going to have to come to that greater understanding, especially if she's able to share with him. And she's going to have to understand that he is really emotionally connected to this. He has feelings in this. He may not be showing or saying those feelings, but He's contemplating deeply how he feels about this connection. And he desires that clarity, and he desires that softness as well. So there's some work on both sides here, as always, for both situations. I'm glad you can get something from both. And oh yes, the turmeric. I've known this too. If you take the turmeric with like pepper, or isn't there like different kinds of chili pepper or something like that? It enhances the properties. Yeah, so you can look that up and read about it. But Derek mentioned that too. It activates it and makes it more potent and a powerful healing effect. So thank you all so much. We'll just wrap up real quick with a few reminders. Again, I will be here on Sunday night, February the 23rd, for my next live where you can come on and ask a question and get your very own mini reading. I do, if you follow me on Instagram or Facebook, you might have seen that I have a tarot special going on right now. So make sure you head over to Instagram or to Facebook if you want to catch that and book that. You've got to book that by the time I'm doing this reading. It would be by the 15th of February 2025 for that special. So if that's something you're interested in getting a reading, it's a 30-minute pre-recorded reading where you can provide me your theme or question, or you can leave it open, and I will do a power-packed 30 minutes recording for you and email it to you. So if that's something you want to look at, you can look at that too. Teresa, hi, how are you? Good to see you. Thank you so much for popping on. For all of you that have popped on, thank you so much. Make sure you do give this video a like. And I appreciate your support. I appreciate all your comments and all your engagement and you helping me with my watch hours. That is so important for me. I'm trying to get those watch hours so that I can get this bigger following and bigger community, creators community here on YouTube, and get monetized, because I'm doing this for a living. So I really appreciate you all so, so much. And I hope you find a lot of value in these messages and that you can carry them, the parts that are important to you and the parts that resonate with you, into your own life. And, just don't take my word for it. Go research and go play around with these energies for yourself. Let your intuition guide you and lead you on the path. And it has been such a pleasure. I look forward to seeing you all next Friday if you're available. All right. Take care, everyone.